Hello, my name is Keeley and you're watching my booktube channel. So if you can't tell, I actually have studio lights now. That's what I'm using. No natural light, it's studio light, and I'm so excited because it's so much better, especially right now because it's like 9 in the morning and cloudy, so it wouldn't be doing so good. But I'm so excited. The package I bought comes with 2 and I'm actually only using 1 right now and it still looks great, better than what I usually do. And it was actually really cheap. I used the Cowboy Studio Lights from Amazon and it was about $60 for the whole kit. It comes with a nice little case, light bulbs, everything. It is so nice. Also, I'm sorry if I sound a little weird. I think I might be getting sick, so let's just ignore that fact. And so for today's video, I'm doing the best books of 2015 that I personally read this year. I am so excited. I have about 12 to show you, although one of them is an entire series, but I'm just counting them as one. I didn't narrow it down in any way because these were all 5-star for me, and it doesn't take much to be a 5-star book for me, honestly. Like, if I think about it constantly and it impacts my life in any way, then it is definitely a 5-star for me. So I'm going to start with the ones I most recently read, and then end at the ones that I read earlier on in the year, so let's get started. The first book I have to show you is Of Poseidon by Anna Banks. This is the first book in the Serena Legacy trilogy, and this follows a girl named Emma who is intertwined in the mermaid world, but she doesn't know it until a mermaid finds her and he's like, hey, why are you on land? Why aren't you in the water? Why are you breaking the laws? And it just like goes off from there, chaos and romance, and oh, so good. If you don't know me, I am obsessed with mermaids, and so this is a mermaid book, although they don't like to be called mermaids, they like to be called Serena, but still, it's a mermaid book, and I absolutely love it. Like, honestly, the way they described the girl in this book, I just pictured myself. They described her as pale, super blonde with bright eyes, and so as soon as they talked about her, I was just like, this book was written for me. Like, this is my book. And I got so excited because mermaids and me, and it was just so good. The next book I have here is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and this is going to be appearing on a lot of people's favorites list this year. It is so good and so intense, and it is written in such a cool format, like black pages, emails, IM chats, and like confidential files, and just like random craziness has ensued in this book, and I love it. It is a sci-fi book and it follows these 2 people, well, like mainly this one girl, and like something, it's hard to describe really because I like to go into this blind, but a disease breaks out, people die, like attacks happen, it's just insane, and the way this ended, I absolutely loved it. Like, it just made me so incredibly happy, and I can't wait for the next one, and it is so beautiful. In case you haven't heard, but Illuminae is one of the most beautiful books, and I'm just so excited for the next one because it was so good, and I love the writing style and how it was written because I have never read anything like that before, so I'm excited to read another thing like that when the second one comes out. The next book I have here is actually an old book, but I just read it, and that is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I know it's the movie cover, sorry, I got this one for free, and I just now picked it up, and I wasn't sure about it because Twilight was what got me into reading, so I was kind of hesitant to pick up another Stephanie Meyer book just in case I didn't like it, but I loved it. This one is about aliens and like they invade Earth, typical alien story, and romance, and just it's amazing. It's so good, and I really wish she would write more in this world. Like, it didn't end on a big cliffhanger, but it ended to where a whole nother story could have opened, and it was just really good. I loved all the characters, and the character development in this book, oh my gosh, I cannot talk about that enough. The character development, this is the best character development I have ever seen in like any book. It is so good, and they all turn into like amazing people, and I just love it so much. The next book is a part of my favorite series ever, and that is Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. This is the 3rd and final book, sadly, in his Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, but he has announced that he's going to be writing more like the Peculiar Tales and things like that, so I'm so excited to read more about this stuff. But if you don't know, it follows a boy named Jacob, and he grows up hearing his grandfather's strange stories all about where he grew up, and so when something happens to his grandfather, he decides he's gonna go where his grandfather grew up and see if the stories are actually real or not. And what he finds out is insane and crazy, and if you don't know, Ransom Riggs takes pictures, like old creepy Polaroids and stuff, and writes the story around them, and it is just such a neat idea. And Ransom Riggs is one of the coolest authors ever. He's so kind and so adventurous. I love that. But I'm so sad that this is over, but it was so good and intense, and it's just one of my favorites, and I love it so much. The next book is actually a series, and that is the Gregor the Overlander series, which consists of Gregor the Overlander, Gregor and the Prophecy of Bane, Gregor and the Curse of the Warm Bloods, Gregor and the Marks of Secret, and Gregor and the Code of Claw. Now, I couldn't choose just one to talk about, so I had to talk about the whole series, because these are by Suzanne Collins, who also wrote The Hunger Games, and this series is so underappreciated. No one has read the series. It is middle grade, and it follows an 11-year-old boy named Gregor who ends up going underneath the earth, I guess you could basically say. His sister disappears, his little bitty 2-year-old sister, and he decides to follow her trail, and what he finds is crazy. The underworld has like a bunch of giant rats, giant insects, and it has a whole kingdom underneath it, and no one ever knows, and then he finds out he is actually a part of a prophecy, so it gets crazy, and it's so intense. This is like, if you love Percy Jackson, you will love this series so hard. I love it so much, and I want everyone to read it because it's so good, and these would actually be great movies. Like, honestly, if these were made into movies, I would be so excited. I love middle grade. This is middle grade. You should read it. It's amazing. The next book I have here is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. This is also an alien book. Aliens invade Earth, and it is so good. I love it so much. I flew by this. I read this like in one day, and it follows a girl named Cassie who is struggling because she's by herself. She's lost her family members. They've either been taken or have been killed by this, and so she has to go on a journey to go get back what was taken from her. And so it just follows that, and like she meets someone, and just, it's amazing. I don't know how else to describe it. Just aliens attack, and it's going to be a movie next month, and I'm so excited to watch the movie because this was just so good, so intense. The next book I have here is Winger by Andrew Smith. This follows a boy named Ryan Dean who is really young, but he's so smart, so he is in grades above what he's supposed to be, and so he gets like bullied and just in trouble a lot, like at the beginning, and it's really funny, and there's like illustrations inside that Andrew Smith like drew, and let me try to find one for you. But the end of the book takes a twist that I did not expect. See, there's some drawings. By the end of it, I was absolutely sobbing. I was a mess. It was so good. I still need to read the second Standoff, which I own, so I will be getting to that hopefully next month. But this was so good. If you haven't picked it up, you should. It's funny, and it hits you in all the right places. The next book I have here is probably my favorite book to date, and that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This follows a girl named Cassie. She's 17, and she is a natural at profiling people. The FBI picks her up, and she finds out that there's a whole bunch of teenagers that have special talents that the FBI wants to train and use. And if you don't know, I am studying to become a forensic psychologist or a criminal profiler, so this is right up my alley. She has to deal with serial killer cases and the FBI, and that is what I want to specialize in, is like serial killer cases. So this was super cool because I related to Cassie a lot because I do like to profile people. I'm not even going to deny it. But it was just really interesting, and it is a trilogy. I don't own the other 2 books, but I need to get them because I need to continue, because this was so good. I read it in a day, and as soon as I finished it, I just wanted to read it again. But it was in the middle of the booktubeathon, so I had to move on. The next book was probably my biggest surprise this year, and that is The Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk. I had this on my shelf for almost 10 years maybe, and I finally decided to pick it up. It is actually like a children middle grade book, and I think this was originally written in like German and then later translated, and it is so good. It follows a little boy named Ben and his journey with dragons. In this world, dragons are a thing, but they're hidden from humans, so they live in like the mountains and stuff. And one day the humans decide to build where the dragons are hiding, so the dragons have to go find this magical, mythical place that a lot of people don't believe in. So this dragon and Ben are going to find this place to see if the dragons can move there, but on the way they encounter some trouble with this golden dragon that likes to eat other dragons. So there's a lot of adventure and just intenseness for like a children's middle grade book, and it was so good. I wish this was a series because I could read about these characters for so long. It is funny, and it's just, I love like mythology and stuff, and this deals a lot with that. And the cover is beautiful, it's shiny, and I love it, and I just want to read more by Cornelia Funk because I loved this so much. 3 more books to show you. The next one is Amy Rogers' Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. This is so cute. I am a sucker for contemporaries and love stories and romances, and this follows 2 people named Amy and Roger. Amy's dad just recently passed away, so her mom wants to move back across the country where she's originally from, and Amy follows her up there about 2 weeks later, but she doesn't want to drive. So Amy's mom gets her friend's son, Roger, to drive Amy across the country, and they decide to take a little detour from what their mom had planned and go on their own road trip. And it is just so cute. Morgan Matson's writing is amazing, and her stories will just capture you in right from the get-go, and I need to read more by her. This is the only thing I've read by her, but I have plans in the near future to read more. The next book is another cute contemporary, and that is Saint Anything by Sarah Destin. This follows a young girl named Sydney who is always constantly in her brother's shadow. So she wants to find, I guess, her own path and live her own life with her friends and just all that stuff. And I have never, I just related to this character so much. Not in the fact that I'm in my brother's shadow, but just how she felt at school and just around other people. I just related to her so much, and I understood what she was going through in some parts. And she finds this family, she meets them, and she gets really close to them, and it's just really cute. And her parents are trying to stop her from following her brother's footsteps, and it's just so good. If you haven't read Sarah Destin, I recommend highly that you pick her up. I love Sarah Destin so much, and this cover is beautiful. I'm sorry I didn't describe it as good as it should be described, but it's just one of those where it's so cute. And Sarah Destin's books are all about romance and contemporary, but the big part is they have a hidden meaning that's about life, and it teaches you how to handle certain situations, and they're so good. And the last book I have to show you I read at the beginning of the year, and that is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. This is a World War II story, and it is nonfiction, which is crazy for me. I read a nonfiction book this big and loved it. I already want to read it again. It follows Louis Zamperini, who is an Olympic runner, and if you don't know me, I am a runner. I love running. I love the Olympics, and it is so amazing. And Louis Zamperini was in the Olympics during World War II when it started, and he actually got to meet Hitler, and later on he went and fought in World War II, and his plane crashed, and he was at sea for 42 days, and then he got captured by the Japanese, and it tells of his story in prisoner of war camps for 2 years, and when he gets out, and how he became a Christian. And if you like war stories and just personal struggles in life, I cannot recommend this enough. It is so amazing. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch that too. But I'm going to say, the movie is amazing. It's one of my favorite movies. I watch it almost every day, not gonna lie. But this book tells so much more of what he went through. You're watching the movie and you're like, oh my gosh, did he really go through that? But then you read the book and you're like, this is almost unbelievable what he went through, and he didn't give up. It blows my mind that he lived through this and that he had to suffer through it, but he made it out alive. And if that's not inspiring, I don't know what is. It is absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend you pick this up. So these are my favorite books of 2015. I hope I have a great reading year to where I can say that 12 books are my favorite and that they're changed my life in some sort of way. I hope you had an amazing reading year and that you had as much success as this with your favorite books, and that you read so many 5 stars, and I hope you have a great reading year for 2016, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!